Zek'thar stood at the back of the Xenobiology classroom, his four purple eyes fixed on the human student at the front podium. His crystalline body maintained a steady violet hue, the color of professional detachment, as Willa hefted a squirming tan creature onto the presentation table. "So these are Earth lions," she said, adjusting her grip as the cub's back legs kicked at air. "Specifically, African lion cubs, about 4 months old." The tiered seating erupted in a cascade of chittering, hissing, and one student's translator glitching into a sustained screech. A Krilixian in the third row knocked over their datapad, trying to back away. Zek'thar's geometric patterns flickered once, amusement, then steadied. Willa blinked at the reaction. "They're really friendly, I promise." The cub yawned, revealing rows of tiny, sharp teeth. Half the class stood up. "Everyone remains seated," Zek'thar said, his voice carrying the flat authority of someone who'd seen actual threats. This wasn't... 1. Humans brought strange things to class constantly. Last week, one had presented a harmless earth spider that could apparently kill with a single bite. The human had held it in her bare hands. The student sat, slowly. Willa placed the cub on the table, where it immediately began investigating a holographic molecular display, pawing at the floating atoms. As you can see, lion cubs are super playful and curious. They're basically just big kittens. "They have retractable claws," someone whispered from the front row. "Well, yeah," Willa said. "But they're not going to use them on you. Watch." She wiggled her fingers. The cub pounced, wrapping its front legs around her hand and gnawing on her thumb. She laughed. "See? Just playing." Zekthar's body chimed softly, the Velkari equivalent of a sigh. His internal patterns pulsed as he made a mental note. Add appropriate handling demonstration section to curriculum. Though knowing humans, they'd probably just bring more predators and insist everything was fine. Now the really cool part. Willa reached into the carrier beside the podium and pulled out 2 more cubs. The class collectively leaned back. "They have incredibly strong social bonds. Watch how they interact." She set the cubs on the table. They immediately tumbled into each other, rolling across the holographic display in a tangle of paws and tails. One batted at its sibling's ear. Another chomped on a leg. The third, the largest, sat back on its haunches and swatted at both of them simultaneously. Something about that third cub made Zekthar's crystalline ridges tighten. The pattern on its flank. 3 parallel scars, each slightly curved, forming an asymmetric cluster near the shoulder. His geometric patterns pulsed faster. "These 3 are from the same pride," Willa continued, completely missing the instructor's color shift from violet to pale orange. "Found them after their habitat was disrupted by human expansion. We're rehabilitating them before reintroduction." The largest cub stood, stretched, front legs extended, back arched, tiny tail straight up, then padded to the edge of the table. It looked directly at Zek'thar with amber eyes. Those scars. Zek'thar had seen many things in 40 cycles of military service. He'd commanded troops through 3 wars, negotiated with 7 species, and once watched a human eat something called a ghost pepper on a dare. He'd cultivated a reputation for unflappable calm. His body flashed bright orange for exactly 2 seconds before he wrestled it back to violet. "Question," he said, his voice perfectly level. "Where did you say these specimens originated?" "Tanzania," Willa said. "It's a region on Earth near..." "The scar pattern on the largest cub. Is it natural?" Willa glanced down. The cub was now chewing on its own foot. "Oh, those? Yeah, probably from rough play or brush scratches. They're pretty clumsy at this age." She picked up the cub, which immediately tried to bite her nose. "Aren't you?" "Yes, you are. Clumsy little guy." The class period couldn't end fast enough. Zek'thar maintained his position at the back as students filed out, many giving the carrier a wide berth. Willa packed up her cubs, talking to them in high-pitched human baby talk that somehow made the predators seem even more surreal. The largest one growled, a tiny rumbling sound, and she just laughed and kissed its head. The moment the classroom emptied, Zek'thar moved to his podium and activated the console. His two arms worked across the holographic interface, fingers flying as he accessed the Galactic Military Archive. His crystalline body shifted through orange into deep amber. Search parameters, scar patterns, leonine species, last 50 cycles. The database took longer than usual to load. When it did, his body flashed crimson so bright it cast red shadows across the empty classroom. Classification: Extinct species. Panthera leo Earth. Designation: Ghost Pride. Status: KIA. Terran Zelthon. Conflict: Cycle 2.847. Combat effectiveness. Critical threat level. He pulled up the attached image files. Adult lions, massive, golden-furred, scars crisscrossing their bodies. The lead female had 3 distinct scars on her left flank, parallel, curved, asymmetric, exactly like the cub Willa had just been cuddling. The archive contained battlefield footage. Zek'thar had clearance. He'd been there for parts of that war, though thankfully not on any fronts where Earth forces deployed their unconventional allies. He pulled up a recording anyway. The video showed a squad of Zelthon shock troops advancing through a forested area on some contested moon. Standard formation. Proper spacing. Then, the lions hit them like a natural disaster. 6 adult females, working in perfect coordination. Silent until the moment of contact. The lead female, with those 3 scars, took down a fully armored Zelthon warrior in 4 seconds flat. Another lion leaped 10 feet vertically to drag a sniper from a tree. The footage was barely 2 minutes long because there wasn't a squad anymore after 2 minutes. The report noted, Earth handlers claim these specimens were rescue animals trained in conservation work. Initial deployment intended as intimidation tactic. Actual combat effectiveness exceeded all projections. Enemy forces refused to engage in terrain where lion activity detected. Zek'thar's chiming was now audible from the hallway. He pulled up more files. The Ghost Pride had been legendary. Deployed to 3 major conflicts. 0 casualties among the Pride itself. 47 confirmed enemy eliminations. Psychological impact, immeasurable. Soldiers from 4 different species requested transfer rather than serve on worlds where the Pride operated. Then, during the final battle of the Terran Zelthon conflict, the Pride's transport ship had been destroyed. All aboard declared killed in action. The Earth government held a memorial service. Military historians wrote papers about unconventional warfare tactics. But if the Pride was dead, where did Willa get cubs with that exact scar pattern? Zek'thar closed the files. His body cycled through amber, orange, crimson, back to amber. His geometric patterns strobed like a warning beacon. Those weren't random scars. In social animal species, distinctive markings often pass through family lines, especially in populations with limited genetic diversity. The database confirmed it. The Ghost Pride's alpha female had bred once, shortly before deployment. The cubs had been left in a Earth conservation program, which meant his 2 arms gripped the podium edges. His crystalline body emitted a frequency that made the holographic displays flicker. If these were the Ghost Pride's offspring, grown enough to have cubs of their own, then there was an adult lioness somewhere on this station. Possibly multiple adults. And Willa, sweet oblivious. Willa, who thought everything with fur was a pet, had brought them here, to an educational station, full of unarmed civilians, because they were super playful and curious. His body flashed crimson again. The classroom door opened. Mallory, the human administrator, poked her head in. "Hey, Zek!" Great class today. Willa's presentation was adorable, right? Those little guys are so... Why are you red? Zek'thar's body was now emitting a high-pitched chime that made the windows vibrate. Mallory, he said, with the careful pronunciation of someone trying very hard not to alarm anyone. Where exactly is Willa housing those specimens? Oh, she's got special permission for docking bay 7. It's climate-controlled and everything. She even brought... She brought what, Mallory? Well, she said the cubs needed their mother for proper socialization, so she brought the adult female too. Isn't that responsible? Shows real commitment to... Zek'thar was already running. His crystalline body blazed, crimson, casting red light across the corridor as he sprinted toward the docking bays. His chiming had reached a frequency that set off 2 automatic door sensors and made a passing maintenance drone abort its route. Students flattened themselves against walls as he passed. Behind him, he heard Mallory's confused voice. What? What did I say? Docking bay 7. Docking bay 7. The station directory said it was in Sector J, normally used for cargo overflow. The corridor seemed infinitely long. His 2 arms pumped as he ran, his geometric patterns pulsing so fast they were nearly solid light. An adult Lioness from the Ghost Pride was on the station, and somewhere, Willa was probably trying to teach it tricks. Zek'thar slammed his palm against the security office door panel. It slid open to reveal Threnix, a junior Velkari officer, carefully organizing datapads by size. Sir? Threnix's body flickered pale blue. Confusion. Docking bay 7, now. Bring stun equipment. Zek'thar's crimson glow painted the cramped office red. His chiming made the wall monitors buzz. What's the threat level? Critical. Threnix's body flashed orange. He grabbed 2 stun batons from the equipment locker, tossed one to Zek'thar, and followed him into the corridor at a run. What are we dealing with? Panthera Leo, adult female, potentially hostile. I don't. That's not in the station registry. It wasn't supposed to exist. They reached docking bay 7 in 3 minutes. The door was already open, a security violation Zek'thar would address later, assuming they all survived the next 10 minutes. The bay's harsh overhead lighting illuminated rows of cargo containers, and, at the far end, a modified atmospheric shuttle with its rear hatch open. Willa sat cross-legged on the deck plating, 20 feet from the shuttle. The 3 cubs tumbled around her, pouncing on her shoes and chewing her jacket sleeves. She was laughing. Oh, hey, she waved. Did you need something, Instructor? Zek'thar? His geometric patterns pulsed so fast they blurred. Willa, where is the adult specimen? You mean Nala? She's in the shuttle. She doesn't like crowds, so I usually visit her separately. Willa picked up the smallest cub, which immediately tried to eat her hair. She's really sweet once you get to know her. Threnix's stun baton clattered to the deck. His body had gone pale gray, absolute terror. That's... Threnix's voice came out as barely a whisper. That's a ghost pride scar pattern. A what? Willa looked down at the cub in her arms. This little guy? The largest cub, the one with the 3 scars, chose that moment to demonstrate its playfulness by launching itself at its sibling, both of them rolling across the deck in a ball of claws, and teeth, and tiny roars. They crashed into a cargo container with a bang. Zek'thar's military training took over. His body stayed crimson, but his voice dropped to command register. Willa, very slowly, stand up, back away. From the shuttle. What? Why? Station security alert. Threnix had found his voice. Unfortunately, he'd also found the station intercom. Apex Predator, loose in docking bay 7. All personnel evacuate Sector J. This is not a drill. It's not loose, Willa protested. She's in her climate-controlled... The evacuation alarm drowned out the rest of her sentence. Red warning lights flooded the bay. The cubs, startled by the noise, scattered. One behind Willa, one under a cargo container, and the largest one straight toward Zek'thar. He froze. Every instinct screamed at him to raise the stun baton, but his military briefings had been very clear. Do not threaten Ghost Pride specimens unless prepared for lethal engagement. The cub stopped at his feet, looked up with amber eyes, and sat down. Then it chirped. Zek'thar's chiming stuttered. His geometric patterns flickered in confusion. The cub, this descendant of legendary war beasts, chirped again and pawed at his crystalline foot. See? Willa had walked over, apparently unbothered by the screaming alarm. Friendly. Willa, Zek'thar's voice, cracked slightly. His body cycled between crimson and orange. These are not domestic animals. These are... The shuttle's rear hatch opened wider. Everyone stopped moving. The Lioness emerged slowly, head low, eyes scanning the bay. She was enormous, easily 400 pounds, scarred flanks rippling with muscle, tail swishing behind her. Her golden coat caught the red emergency lighting. She moved with the precise, economical grace of something that had never needed to hurry to kill. The 3 scars on her left flank were clearly visible. Threnix made a sound somewhere between a squeak and a chime. His body flashed gray-white and he stumbled backward into a cargo container. The Lioness's eyes locked onto Zek'thar. Her ears swiveled forward. He was going to die. After 3 wars, 17 decorations, and 40 cycles of service. He was going to die in a docking bay because a human thought apex predators were super playful. Hey, Nala! Willa walked directly toward the Lioness, stepping between her and Zek'thar. Did the alarm scare you? I'm sorry, sweetie, come here. The Lioness, Nala apparently, shifted her gaze to Willa. Her tail swished twice. Then she headbutted Willa's stomach hard enough to make the human stagger. Willa laughed and scratched behind the Lioness's ears. Yeah, I missed you too. Zek'thar's body was now emitting a chiming frequency that made his teeth ache. Beside him, Threnix had given up on standing and slid down the cargo container to sit on the deck. Willa, Zek'thar managed. That specimen is classified as... Oh! Mallory's voice echoed through the bay. She jogged through the door, slightly out of breath, holding a data pad. There you all are. I heard the alarm. What's the... Oh. She stopped, stared at the Lioness. That's bigger than I expected. This is a Panthera Leo adult female, Zek'thar said, his voice taking on the clipped precision of an after-action report. Combat trained, verified Ghost Pride lineage, responsible for 47 confirmed eliminations during the Terran-Zelthon conflict, classified as extinct for the last 15 cycles. Mallory blinked. But she's a rescue animal. She rescued Earth forces from tactical disadvantage by eliminating enemy combatants. Well, yes, but... Mallory consulted her datapad. It says here she was part of a conservation program. Special Forces Partnership. Cross-Species Cooperation Initiative. The Lioness had flopped onto her side. The 3 cubs immediately piled on top of her, climbing over her head and biting her tail. She batted lazily at them with one enormous paw. Sir, Threnix was still sitting on the deck. His body had faded to pale violet. Permission to update my threat assessment. Denied. It's still a threat. Zek'thar's geometric patterns pulsed. It's just not threatening us specifically at this exact moment. Willa was now lying next to the Lioness, using her flank as a pillow while the cubs played tug-of-war with her jacket. I told you she's sweet. She wouldn't hurt anyone unless they were, like, actively attacking me or something. Yes, Zek'thar said flatly. That is exactly what the combat briefing said. Mallory was scrolling through her datapad. Oh, this is interesting. According to Earth military records, the Ghost Pride was deployed with specialized handlers. Handlers who... She looked up. Handlers who bonded with the Lions during rehabilitation and maintained those bonds through deployment. The Lions would protect their handlers at all costs. Everyone looked at Willa, She was making kissy noises at a cub. "No," Zek'thar said. His body flashed bright orange. "Absolutely not. She's a student." "A xenobiology student," Mallory said, "who somehow acquired 3 cubs and an adult female from an allegedly extinct military pride." "My aunt worked at the conservation center," Willa said, not looking up from the cub she was now cradling like a baby. "She said these guys needed socialization and asked if I wanted to foster them during my station rotation. I thought